Hey everyone, just thought I'd give a quick update to my shrimp tank before I head to bed, because, well, this tank is right next to my bed, which means it's full of a bunch of little critters I love to watch do their thing. And that is one of the baby ghost shrimp. Oh, and there's another. They've gotten so big. They've gotten visible. They're the older generation of newlyborns. There's another set from the other mama shrimp that are a little smaller. I don't know if I can find any of them, but they tend to hang around the filter here. And if you see over here, oops, that's one of the mama shrimp. And you'll notice we have a few new additions to the tank as well. This tank is strictly invertebrates, and this is kind of my temporary holdover tank, because some of my tanks have a ton of assassin snails taking care of pests at the moment. So for a short amount of time I have to keep some of my snails in here for safety. That's my nearite. I always have at least one nearite in here to help keep algae under control. And that's a little zoom, because my zebra tends to zoom around a lot. But if you notice over here, and he's behind the bubbler now, but that is Dante the Dante the black devil spike, and he's not a rabbit snail. Rabbit snails are tylos. These are Phaeunus, so he's a Phaeunus adder. If you're lucky, you can find Phaeunus magma and have a lava snail. But these guys are pretty fun. And speaking of snails, this is a tylo. Let me get my camera to focus here. This is Skipper the rabbit snail. Now, I recently found out that Skipper is a girl, because during her short time in this tank, she had a baby. And I don't know where the baby is. The baby's still really small, and I can tell it's a baby by the way it's shaped. Now, it's really hard to tell for some people when they have Malaysian trumpets and rabbits in the same tank. But long story short, a baby rabbit snail will look a lot like a Malaysian trumpet, but its body will be shorter, so kind of stubbier. It'll be way more rounded at the bottom tip. It'll be much wider, and if you go off of that, you'll be able to tell a difference. So Skipper right here is kind of doing her thing. I always thought Skipper was the boy, but turns out Skipper was the girl. So, how about that? But mainly, I'm just enjoying seeing the ghost shrimp do shrimpy things. They're always scuttling about, and honestly, you know, this isn't the best tank for the ghost shrimpies, simply because ghost shrimp are kind of a larger shrimp. I get people confusing my ghosts for Amanos all the time, and that's, you know, because they get really big. People don't realize how big ghost shrimp can actually get. So I would love to be able to move them back into a bigger tank, but for now this is kind of a holdover tank where I have, like I was saying, my inverts that are kind of just random right now, chilling out in this tank. I mainly put the female ghosts in here just so that they can have their babies safely, because, I mean, oh, there's one of the babies from the other mama. Ooh, come on, camera, focus for me. There we go. There's a baby shrimp from one of the other mamas, a little smaller, and that's the other mama right there. Anywho, yeah, lost my train of thought, but they get really big, and they like to move around a lot. If you've ever seen an adult ghost shrimp actually interact with the community in a tank, it's pretty interesting, because they just do not care. They have no sense of danger. They will swim all the way to the top and bring freeze-dried bloodworms down to the bottom and eat it themselves. They are very greedy when it comes to food. But since we're talking about other inverts here, let's talk about the strangest one I have, which This little guy is not really supposed to be strange, but this guy is defying logic in a sense, because this snail has been outside of the water here. So this is the water line up here. This snail has not come down from the glass on top in like 2 weeks, and he's alive. That snail moves all the time, but as Nereids like to do, they munch on algae all the time. And as you can see, heat plus water plus light equals algae. And there's plenty of it on the roof, and this little fella has learned to capitalize on that. I would imagine because the bubbler ends up making the surface all covered in water, that he gets the amount of water that he needs to stay moist. And I'm not sure, but I'm guessing, considering he's been up there, that Nereid snails actually breathe oxygen, kind of like mysteries. And if not, then I just have no clue. Because mystery snails actually have like something comparable to lungs. That's why they come out to the surface of the tank and have a little organ for siphoning oxygen out of the air. And then they go back down. But these guys, I haven't seen that organ on... I always assumed these guys just had gills. But like I said, this guy is alive. He's on there. He's been there forever. And he's just munching away on the algae for me. Which I appreciate, because it's not fun cleaning algae. So, this little guy is well, confusing, but hey, I like it. So, that's just my little update. Thought some of you might find it fun, my little personal tank. It's kind of interesting, my personal tank is really not all that amazing right now. I wanted to get a pea puffer, but after doing some research and talking to some people online versus the people in the pet store, we concluded that a pea puffer probably isn't appropriate for a 2.5 gallon tank. It's just too small, which is a shame. Pea puffers are very small puffers. They're probably the smallest puffers that I know of, and they're freshwater, which make them a really good candidate for people who want a puffer. But puffers are insanely intelligent for fish, and I don't want to do anything that's going to make the little guy depressed. I mean, part of me wants to get one, and if he doesn't feel happy, I'll return him. But at the same time, I just don't know. Because I love pufferfish. There's this pufferfish at Pets Etc., and his name is Titan the Puffer. I've got videos of him. He loves me, because when I come in, I bring him crayfish that he eats, live crayfish. And puffers, they'll recognize their owner, and they can display a wide variety of emotions. And let's just say when I come in, he starts going flapping about like crazy because he knows he's going to get a treat. So everyone gets wet. But since I don't deal with saltwater, and most puffers are saltwater, I thought a pea puffer would be great to have next to my bedside here, because I would love to watch the little guy do his thing. I think pea puffers are adorable. But it looks like this is just going to have to be an invertebrate tank for now, and even then these inverts are getting too big for this tank. So hopefully I'll have my other tanks properly set up. You know, I'm debating what to do with some tanks at the moment, but I've got another tank in my room besides this one, but it hasn't been set up in months. It's just kind of sitting there. It's a 1 gallon, so it's a little smaller. But anywho, yeah, it's a fun tank. I like ghost shrimp. They're just the way they do stuff is so funny. Well, anywho, I'm off to bed. Let me know if you found the video enjoyable. I can do more of this kind of stuff more often.